Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got some great stuff lined up for you today. When something is a note, we're going to hear the Bank of France at the World Economic Forum talk about next generation central bank digital currencies. Could XRP become a next generation banknote as well? We've got some really incredible information for you to see today. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Dig Perspectives on Twitter at the top of the screen, and Digital Perspectives, no spaces, on TikTok. Things taking off over there. The market's actually up 0.3%. Careful what you call progress this morning. Good afternoon. It is May 25th, 2022. $1.318 trillion market cap. Bitcoin now at 29,500. Ethereum 1,900 plus. We see XRP at 40 cents. Very quickly, let's take a look at this. It's 41 cents right now, ranging between 40 cents on the bottom, 42 on the top. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. And stay with me as we move through this information. We've got a lot to go over in a very short period of time. Setting the stage right here, the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission suing Ripple, but yet the Georgian Prime Minister says, you know what? We got a place for you over here. Come on over here and get started. That's what they're saying. This is the fascinating dynamic to what's going on here in the United States. Again, I believe that John Deaton had it dead on the money when he filed his original brief to participate in the SEC case and represent 67,000 plus XRP holders, that the case was in fact used as a weapon. I also believe it was used as a weapon because the people that were involved had knowledge of the ultimate path of XRP, and it just may be when something is a note. Stay with me as we move through this information. Let's start right here. This is here from Link2. Gosh, we got so much to go over today, but this is from Link2, and this is massive news, ladies and gentlemen. Ripple's CEO is at Davos in Switzerland right now. Shout out to Brad. In the spirit of Link2's mission to democratize private investing, listen to what they've done, and I just took advantage of it, by the way. Link2 reduced the minimum investment threshold from $10,000 minimum to $5,000 for Ripple and Link2 investments only. The $5,000 promo will run till midnight tonight. The clock is already ticking, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this quick exchange from Brad Garlinghouse in Davos.
You know, Tether is considered a dollar-backed stablecoin. I'm not personally involved with it, so I don't know exactly how they are sharing those financials. But I think now more than ever, the transparency that companies like Ripple have championed across the crypto industry are critical. That transparency for Tether, I think, is to really make sure the people participating, people buying, have access to whatever financial information they need to feel comfortable that, in fact, it is dollar-backed.
And you know what? Before they go on, very quickly here, think of this. USD Tether, private stablecoin, USD Terra just collapsed, nothing behind it. USD Tether saying, hey, here's our reserves, here's our 1-to-1, here's our surplus, we're showing you, don't come after us. But don't forget, you got to be licensed also. That's what's coming. That's the next big step that's coming. And by the way, private stable coins being registered like USD Coin Circle is, right? All of this is leading to a place of, whether these things are truly looked at as a note. Keep listening.
Do you think Tether has got to be more transparent about what's backing it?
Well, I think the whole industry needs to be more transparent. I think that applies to Tether. I think that applies to, the whole industry. From the earliest days, Ripple and the XRP community, we've tried to lead by example. We've really tried to be the adults in the crypto room. And it's the reason why I've come here to Davos and met with finance ministers from around the world, CEOs of banks from around the world, to talk about how these technologies can actually solve real-world problems and reduce costs and improve the efficiency of particularly cross-border payments, an area that here at WEF they care a lot about, a population that's paying the most for remittance costs that can least afford it.
There it is, and that's Ray Fuentes telling you about the deal that I just read you. Yeah, love you mucho, Ray. Make sure you check out the link underneath the video for that. And that leads to the question of this. because the idea of Ripple IPOing has just come up again. A reminder from Eleanor Terrett that that is what Charles Gasparino and Eleanor covered back in January, but it is talk of the town again. And listen to this right here from Davos.
An interesting move you guys did. You bought back your round C shares at a higher valuation than what they were at the moment. What was the rationale behind that?
So we did a Series C financing, I'm going to try to get my dates right here, in 2019, in Q4 of 2019, and we raised $200 million from a series of investors. When we negotiated that, we had pre-negotiated the ability to repurchase that up to a certain period of time for 1.5x the issuance. So we repurchased all of the Series C back from our investors because we thought it was a good investment. We thought that was accretive to all of our other shareholders. As you mentioned or you asked, we have been profitable and cash flow positive, so we're able to use that. So we've repurchased north of $500 million of Ripple shares over the past couple of years, including that financing.
And you mentioned you're cash flow positive, but also, are you looking for further outside funding at this point, whether it be for an extra cash injection or at least just a strategic sort of investment as well?
We aren't actively looking. We haven't needed to do that. We have a very strong balance sheet, and even as we look at the future, we feel good about that. I do think there will be opportunities, and I think there'll be an uptick in M&A in the blockchain and crypto space. We haven't seen that yet, but I think that's likely in the future, and I certainly think as that unfolds, we would consider things like that.
In terms of buying companies or being bought out?
We're now at a stage of growth where I think we're more likely to be the buyer versus the buyee or seller.
How about that?
But you're not necessarily, you haven't found any acquisition targets at this point, or is there an area of the business you're thinking, you know what, this company would be a great fit?
I would say there's a lot of growth in crypto, and we are looking at a lot of different segments of crypto for growth. Some of that, obviously, we will build internally. The carbon credit initiative is something we've kicked off internally, but we've invested in over 30 or 40 companies around the crypto ecosystem, and we'll continue to look at opportunities to grow through external acquisitions also.
And of course, the market's not great right now, but is an IPO on the cards at some point?
Well, I think we want to get certainty and clarity in the United States with the U.S. SEC. I'm hopeful that the SEC will not slow that process down any more than they already have. But we certainly at a point in scale where that is a possibility, and we'll look at that once we're past this lawsuit with the SEC.
Another great reminder of just how quick things are moving for Ripple and this case. Even though they feel like we're watching the SEC drag this thing out, there is only so far that they can take this thing, right? So obviously things are coming to an end, but you talk about incentive. That's why I went and got some Ripple today. Yeah, I can't normally afford it, but I really probably can't afford it today, but I did it anyway. And I'm happy I did. Right here, we're getting into some incredible information. This is a conversation shared by Digital Pound Foundation, and this is Julia Chatterley moderating it with different bank leaders here. This is the guy from this Bank of France, and I'm going to take you through a couple different spots in here, and Kristalina Georgieva is on this panel as well from the IMF. Let's start right here at 9:50. I want you to hear this right in here. So let's start here. The gentleman from the Bank of France here, and it's Francois, and I want you to hear what he says, talking about crypto assets versus currency, banknotes, central bank currency, and public-private relationship. Listen to this clip here.
And it's about technological innovations for century also. Remember of the banknotes. None of us was alive 2 or 3 centuries ago, but it was a tremendous technological progress for central bank currency at that time. And in order to have the best of trust, which comes more from central bankers and the public side, and technological innovation, which comes more from the private sector, there is a partnership. And for decades, there has been a partnership in issuing money and in organizing the payment system. So one word about crypto and one word about CBDC on this partnership. Crypto, I always speak of crypto assets and not cryptocurrencies, and not by chance, because as Kristalina just said, they are not a reliable currency. They are not a reliable mean of payment. In order to be a currency, somebody must be responsible for the value. Nobody is responsible for the value of cryptos. And it must be accepted universally as a means of exchange. It's not.
Very, very clear to the point. Like how he points out, I call them crypto assets, not cryptocurrency. Now let's come down to another clip here where how long could we be before we see anything coming out of the CBDC? And the question was asked really in two parts here. And it was really about, wholesale back end or retail. The retail front end was suggested at least 3 years. But listen to what he says here when answering that question about wholesale coming quicker.
A central bank digital coin out there in the world that is being utilized on a daily basis, whether it's wholesale or retail, and it becomes a superior system. Francois? Yes or no?
We have several experiments which are not very far from that. Yep. They are not yet generalized, but they could be, let's say, the next 3 years, probably. It will go quicker on the wholesale side, yes. I guess.
It will go quicker on the wholesale side, I guess. Yes?
Because it raises less sensitive questions. By the way, Julia, if I may, in CBDC, the last C is currency and not coins. Mm-hmm. And for us...
That's an incredible point he's making again. We're money, crypto is not.
It's a quite significant difference.
And I tell you, it's a hell of a point he's making here. Now, let me take you to another spot here. Just a few moments later here at this mark right here, where he really brings it home here. Talks about the G20 agenda, the working on remittances, and again mentioning bank note and how important it is if thinking about the idea of we're moving to a next generation, a digital generation of a bank note. None of us were alive when banknotes first came around, right? So think of that for a moment and ask yourself while we're talking about this, if there's going to be a bridge between these new digital era of banknotes. Must that bridge be a banknote too? Keep listening.
Let's say we have central bank digital currency.
No, if I am on the wholesale side, cross-border can play a very significant role.
How much? What proportion?
But it won't help yet for households. It's why we are working on another agenda, a G20 agenda. I co-chaired with my South African colleague a group with 9 very precise objectives on speed, cost, accessibility of remittances, and it does not rely on CBDC. So we have other ways of innovating with newcomers, etc. CBDC is not the monopoly of innovation or of progress. But if we central banks said, look, we have been relying on banknotes for 2 centuries, we will still rely on banknotes for the next century, we would miss something, obviously.
Another incredible point, focusing on the next generation and iteration of banknotes and this digital evolution and revolution and industrialization that we're moving into. Now I want to bring you to here. Maybe you'll remember this, maybe you won't. But remember when I put this clip out months and months ago, back in December 2021? This is Gary Gensler, who often references the Howey test. But what gets overlooked is he also references the Reeves test when something is a note. And guess what? Hester Peirce references it also. You're going to hear that now. Jay Clayton is also in this fireside chat that was done with market integrity and digital asset compliance with Gary Gensler. And they also discuss bearer instruments and how they don't go for that. Listen.
But I think that the technology itself, with Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever she or he was, sort of has been a catalyst for change. It's around the globe, those in the payment business, central banks and private sector have started to think about payment systems a little bit different. There's some competition, so to speak, from decentralized bearer forms of value transfer. Now, some people will call it currency, but none of these projects have really taken on a full general embodiment of a medium of exchange, unit of account, and store of value. Bitcoin's being used for ransomware around the globe. There's like incentives here to use a bearer form of value transfer. And that's what a lot of this is. It's a bearer form of value transfer. We already have digital money.
Yeah.
We have digital money.
Yeah.
We use it every day of the week. We use digital money. So what do you mean when you say you view...
Yeah, let me try and make this easy. Bearer instruments, we've dealt with for the last 50 years. We don't tolerate bearer instruments.
It took 2 or 3 years.
We don't tolerate bearer instruments. There is a huge suggestion there that the only other path to be able to go is to be classified as a commodity or a note. Let's take a listen.
It took, yes, an enforcement action. Yes, it took the definition of what is a security. In that case, I think it might have been the Howey test, but it might have been another one.
It's called the Howey test. There's other broad brushes with regard to this as well, as to when something is a note, called the Reeves test that Thurgood Marshall wrote.
And now you're getting ready to hear Hester Peirce reference the same thing. All of this is being referenced when they are being grilled about the inconsistency of suing Ripple versus why they didn't chase down Ethereum. And this, I find it to be quite interesting that it gets overlooked so many times because they're both saying it.
A lot like a securities offering, right? And so we're going to treat that as a securities offering. We're going to regulate that. And so that's kind of how we look at it through that lens. Now, there are other pieces of the definition of security, like what's a note, that may come up in the crypto context as well. So that's kind of how we look at it through that lens. Now, there are other pieces of the definition of security, like what's a note, that may come up in the crypto context as well.
And that is where we are on this day. And it's quite interesting to me that we hear the conversation at the recent World Economic Forum lining up with what appears to be a subtle reference to their defense on why they're attacking Ripple. Remember, there's many different layers of reality and perception about what is going on here. And XRP becoming a banknote just may be one of them. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Check out all the links underneath the video. They're products and services I use each and every day. I'll catch all of you on the next one.